Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has backed India's bid for permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council. He said that Turkey will be proud to see India at the UNSC. The Turkish president also proposed greater UNSC reform and expansion, saying that the world is bigger than just 5 nations. In New Delhi for the G20 Summit, Erdogan described India as Turkey's greatest trade partner in South Asia. He added that the two nations have great potential to deepen economic partnership. Erdogan also thanked India for the prompt relief provided under Operation Dost after earthquakes struck Turkey in February. India had rushed emergency relief supplies, medical and rescue teams to Turkey within hours of the tremors. New Delhi and Ankara have had strained relations over the years. Now, this was mainly because of Turkey's support to Pakistan over the issue in Kashmir. Turkey took conflicting positions with respect to India at global forums such as the United Nations and the OIC. Turkey was also one of the few countries that opposed India's entry into the nuclear suppliers group. India, on its part, has raised concerns over human rights violations in Turkey, in Greece, Cyprus and Armenia. India is also deepening its economic partnership with Greece and Cyprus. Turkey has territorial disputes with these nations. India also revoked a $2 billion naval deal with a Turkish defense company, besides cancelling defense exports to Ankara. Turkey's recent change of heart for India could be attributed in parts to these countermeasures by New Delhi. Moreover, as India expands its economic footprint globally, Turkey may have sought a course correction over ties with India. Now, for more on this, we are being joined by Mehmet Çelik on this broadcast. He's a journalist and political analyst and is joining us live from Istanbul, Turkey. Welcome to the broadcast, sir. Now, it seems like everyone is slowly coming to the reality that the world order is changing. Turkey's backing of India's permanent seat . All right, we might be having some issues connecting with our guest from Turkey. Mr. Çelik, if you can hear me, I was saying it seems like everyone is slowly coming to reality that the world order indeed is changing. So Turkey's backing of India's permanent seat at the UNSC comes from this thought, you think, or is Ankara trying to come in New Delhi's good books?
Well, indeed, I think Turkey's approach to India's UN Security Council seat is coming from an approach that Turkey believes that the world is bigger than 5. And this is President Erdogan's famous motto, where he keeps repeating at the UN General Assembly and other platforms. What he refers to is that the world, all the members of the international community should have a say, should be able to participate in the international matters, not just only the permanent 5 members of the UNSC. So this comes from that multipolar world system that we're currently in, and the world is definitely changing. So the international platforms like the UN, the international institutions like the UN and others should be revised and also should be reformed to address this, the needs of the new world order, basically. Nothing remains static. There is a dynamic international system. If we keep the international bodies static as they are, where they were built to address different problems of the previous world order, they will fail to actually meet the needs of the current status quo. So that support to India comes from that, comes from that belief that the world is changing, and so should the international bodies like the United Nations. On the other hand, there's also, in line with this new changing world order or the new system, Turkey is repositioning itself, realigning its partnerships, and also revising its foreign policy at a time where...
Speaking of realignment, New Delhi and Ankara traditionally have had very strained relations, especially because of the polarizing stance on Kashmir. But when the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan had come to India for the G20 Summit over the weekend, he described India as Turkey's greatest trade partner in South Asia, which is a huge statement coming in from Turkey. I want to ask you, in terms of trade and economic relations, how do you see these two countries panning out?
Well, whenever I sit down with the diplomats or other officials from India and Turkey as well, what I hear from both sides is that there is this huge potential that is not realized, unfortunately, given, some of the differences in terms of Kashmir, let's say. But I think in international relations, there's no permanent enmities or there's no permanent friendships. Interests must come first. And at the time where there's a global recession, at the time where there's this change in the world order, Turkey is repositioning itself. And in line with that repositioning, it is seeing the potential with some of the countries where previously some of these trade ties, for example, were neglected or not realized to their potential. Of course, India's booming economy, soon it will be the third largest economy in the world. And with that, Turkey sees a huge potential in Southeast Asia. And of course, it is something that will be benefiting both sides in terms of economic interests.
Absolutely. You make a key point here that friendships are not permanent. It all depends on the interests and, of course, the changing world order. Thank you for speaking with us on this broadcast and getting us all those insights.
Thank you.